Hi, I'm Dave Eisler, President of Ferris State University. These remarks were delivered on our campus in Big Rapids on September 1st, 2011 for our annual Founders Day event. With campuses across Michigan and important responsibilities to students, I want to share these ideas with you if you were unable to attend. Thank you for taking time to listen to and consider these ideas. Hello and welcome to Founders Day 2011. Thank you for being here to help honor the legacy of our founders, Woodbridge and Helen Ferris. This morning, I want to take just a few minutes to reflect on our past, take stock of where we are, and consider some of the challenges and opportunities ahead of us during this coming year. It was 127 years ago today that Woodbridge and Helen began the Big Rapids Industrial School. From its very start, the intent was to provide educational opportunity for potential students who had none. This first class of 15, which included 5 women, signed up for classes so they could earn the equivalent of a high school degree in 18 months of study. The school grew quickly. During the first fall, evening classes were begun, leading to an increased enrollment of 50 students. It was Woodbridge's entrepreneurial spirit that motivated him to schedule classes when working students could attend. Part of this entrepreneurial spirit also included the willingness to explore and adopt new curricula. One of the longest continuing of these is pharmacy, something that began in the 1890s, first with the education of Louis Price, who Woodbridge personally tutored to pass the state pharmacy board exam. This then quickly led to the opening of a pharmacy school at the Ferris Institute. Mr. Ferris believed in the power of education and said that until his dying breath, he would advocate for education for all the people, all the time. He was committed to diversity and inclusion, offering his education for all. In fact, at the time of his death, he had written a major speech on education that was delivered after his death on the floor of the United States Senate. In that speech, he wrote, "I am not sure that the American people, and even some of its lawmakers, fully realize the absolute necessity of universal education and democracy." Those words are as relevant today as they were in 1928. Opportunity, entrepreneurial spirit, and diversity are aspects of that early Ferris Institute that still sound familiar to us today. Another aspect of this early Ferris Institute that will sound all too familiar to us today was financial challenge. This was true both for the early students who attended and for the school itself. Until he founded his own bank, Mr. Ferris was plagued by bank failures, including losing much of the money collected for the construction of the Institute's first building. In his autobiography, Woodbridge wrote, "I had accumulated something more than $5,000, which was on deposit in the Northern National Bank of Big Rapids. When the foundation and the framework for one story was completed, the bank failed." A man of great integrity, Woodbridge again called upon his entrepreneurial spirit and raised money to complete construction by selling stock in his institute. There are many words that could describe Mr. Ferris. He was an iconoclast, an entrepreneur, a lecturer, a teacher, a skilled administrator, and a politician, but throughout his life, he was always an idealist, a man committed to the highest standards and to improving the lives of others. Through his ideals, he sought not only to change people's lives, but also to make the world a better place. Let's move forward to the Ferris State University of today. We're part of a university that not even a visionary like Woodbridge Ferris could have imagined. But there is still much of Mr. Ferris to be seen in our university. I think back 4 years ago when the university started down the path of defining itself through statements of values, mission, and vision. In this, I remember the work of the Governing Ideas Task Force chaired by David Pilgrim. This group would gather early in the morning to craft statements of values over and over again. Although many were discarded, ultimately 6 concepts emerged and gained consensus: collaboration, diversity, ethical community, excellence, learning, and of course, opportunity. Next, we move to a discussion of mission, a topic that divided the university community into those pushing for the applied nature of a Ferris education and those committed to the kind of broad-based education that has traditionally helped to define an educated person. if you want to spark a debate at a university, suggest changes to its mission statement. That was certainly true here at Ferris. In time, consensus coalesced around the concepts of careers, a word that became a nexus for efforts to update our mission statement, so important that it was used not once, but twice in the new 31-word statement. Ferris State University prepares students for successful careers, responsible citizenship, and lifelong learning. Through its many partnerships and its career-oriented, broad-based education, Ferris serves our rapidly changing global economy and society. With common agreement reached regarding values and mission, attention shifted to vision. Here emerged the concept of integrative education, an idea that describes a Ferris education as one in which theory meets practice, an approach that is at the core of our history. Further defining this vision are 4 additional bulleted points: to be the preferred choice for students, to be the premier educational partner for communities, industries, and others, to foster a student-centered academic environment, and to be a university that lives its values. From this was constructed our strategic plan, which is organized around 6 goals: a center of excellence in educational quality and student learning, a university community where all are valued, welcomed, and informed, to enhance the financial position of the university, to provide a state-of-the-art, sustainable, and safe living, learning, and working environment, to foster collaborative internal and external working relationships, and to foster innovation and improve processes to move the university forward. This plan and progress on it is accessible from the website of the Strategic Planning and Resource Council. I encourage you to review these documents and would appreciate your comments on them. So how is Mr. and Mrs. Ferris Institution today guided by these concepts? Last year, we successfully completed reaccreditation. The site visit by the Higher Learning Commission was the most positive I have experienced in over 35 years of higher education. While our visitor's report has not yet been received, the exit interview demonstrated clearly the respect and admiration the evaluators held for our university. During its final public presentation on campus, the HLC team identified a number of strengths that contributed to the university receiving a 10-year reaccreditation, the longest period possible without interim follow-up visits. The strengths they identified at that time included the clear and forceful articulation of our mission and our emphasis on educating students for successful careers, the uniqueness of our professional and technical programs, and student engagement on campus and in the community. Additionally, HLC members praised the inclusiveness and collaboration the university fosters. They could hardly have done a better job of touching on the main points of our governing ideas and our mission statement. Today, Ferris continues to be the fastest growing public university in Michigan. Since 2003, enrollment has grown by over 21%. While this fall's enrollment is not yet official, it will be well over 14,500 students, the 7th consecutive year of record enrollments. We have reached out to our students with challenging financial circumstances. Embedded in our enrollment growth is a sharp increase in students eligible for the tuition incentive program. Since 2003, TIP student enrollment has risen by 115%. There is no better way to break the cycle of economic hardship than with a college education and degree. This also harks back to the link Woodbridge Ferris drew between education and a strong democracy. Thanks to our commitment to expanding diversity, we have successfully recruited more students of color to our university. Last year, we saw increases of 8% and 16% in the numbers of new African American and Hispanic students. The continued and growing emphasis of the Global Initiative has brought over 75 new international students to campus this fall. Most importantly, we have created an atmosphere where difficult and challenging conversations can be conducted in an environment of civility, respect, and understanding. This commitment to diversity in Big Rapids is also reflected in our facility efforts. The Office of Multicultural Student Services is flourishing in its first 4 location in flight. The relocation of the Office of International Education to the IRC will provide an opportunity for international students to interact with a greater university community in this very busy and vital space. Plans are being finalized for a new home for the Jim Crow collection of racist memorabilia. Housed in the lower level of the Flight Library, this will expand the important, pivotal work of this center. The new museum is scheduled for completion this March. As I noted earlier, Ferris State University is no stranger to the financial challenges of our earliest history. In the most difficult of economic times we experienced in decades, we have reached out and provided increased financial support for our students, helping them remain in school and graduate. Increased retention and graduation rates clearly demonstrate this. The retention of first-year bachelor degree students this past year was up 8% to an all-time high. Even more stunning is the growth in degrees awarded, up 35% from 2003 to now. Not only are we enrolling more students, we are graduating more of them. With 6-year graduation rates now at 50% and National Clearinghouse data that shows 35% of students who begin at Ferris State transfer another institution, we can now show that 85% of our new freshman students either continue their education elsewhere or graduate. A critical component of these retention efforts has been to create a campus that welcomes and encourages community for our students. I already mentioned some of our efforts at creating a campus culture that expands diversity and academic opportunities. We have also worked hard to make our physical campus a place that encourages learning and community, both inside and outside of the classroom. Examples of this include our classroom and laboratory renovations, the IRC connector with its spaces for study and student collaboration, the stunning success of the Rock renovation, significant renovations to residence halls, and last year's completion of the East Campus suites. All of these are important in providing a living, learning environment that welcomes and supports students. As we have built a welcoming environment, we have also worked to create a university that shares information transparently, seeks input from faculty and staff, and celebrates the success of our people. These efforts to build campus relationships develop from our shared commitment to help students and promote the education we provide. The successful efforts of Provost Fritz Erickson in last year's review of academic organization demonstrate that our university can deal with challenging internal questions in an atmosphere that is mutually supportive and in which shared solutions can be reached. In addition to improving educational opportunity for our students, our new construction projects demonstrate both the respect of the Michigan legislature for Ferris and the success of our efforts in working with them. For example, our new optometry building would not have been possible without $20 million of state support. In Grand Rapids, the pharmacy space at 25 Michigan Avenue will be finished in November, bringing together in one place all third-year Ferris pharmacy students. This is a project with $6.6 million in state support, perhaps the only university project in the latest round of state capital outlay to receive construction funding. In March, the project to restore the historic federal building for the Kendall College of Art and Design will be completed. This has benefited from $10 million in state tax credits. Combined, these reflect $37 million of state investment in Ferris State University, a remarkable commitment in these economic times. Despite these infrastructure investments by the state, these are indeed difficult times for funding higher education. In February 2009, we began a process to trim $10 million from the university budget, anticipating the historically large reductions in state funding that occurred last year. We did this without program elimination and with a commitment to program quality. It did require we make difficult decisions, reducing the size of our workforce through attrition and early retirement. The Ferris of today teaches 21% more students than it did in 2003, with 25 fewer full-time employees. This has required shared sacrifice and commitment throughout the university. Most importantly, these budget reductions have not been passed on to our students. When the state has cut our appropriations, we've reduced our budget, not shifting these costs to students. As a result, the cost for a Ferris education, defined as tuition plus state support per full-time equivalent student, has risen by 23.6% since 2003. This is roughly the rate of inflation during this period and far less than the national higher education average. As our students have required additional help, state financial support has declined, but the enhanced Pell Grant program has seen support from the federal government for our students increase by 161%. Today, a staggering $120 million of the entire university budget comes from federal financial aid, making our institution very dependent upon the federal government for this support. In response to the pressures faced by both the state and federal government budgets, we have increased fundraising initiatives to engage friends and donors across Michigan. The optometry building benefited from a $1 million commitment from the Herbert H. and Grace A. Dow Foundation. The federal building project has secured a $1 million commitment from the Wege Foundation and $250,000 pledges of support from the Fry, Grand Rapids, and Steelcase Foundations. This past year's annual fund produced $1 million more in support than the previous year. The Ferris Foundation has been rebuilt from a low of $24 million to a current value in excess of $34 million. As a university that stretches across Michigan, partnerships with communities continue to grow and thrive. Campus relationships with the Big Rapids community are a model of how universities can positively interact with their local communities. Ferris efforts in Grand Rapids are developing respect, admiration, and support. Notable here is our working partnership with the Grand Rapids Community College and the strong growth in enrollment at Kendall College of Art and Design that has taken place since the merger of our two institutions. What are the areas of focus for this upcoming year? Each year I work with our Board of Trustees to develop commonly agreed upon and adopted expectation. For 2011, they include enhance student success. Ferris has worked hard for improved student success and retention, but we need to improve upon these outcomes. Our goal is to help each student to succeed to the best of their capabilities. Build and protect the resource base. We must find additional sources of revenue, securing grant support, building the university endowment, and soliciting significant donor support, while protecting what support remains from the state. Build on the quality and diversity of the workforce. Over the past year, hiring has been sharply reduced as we absorb the budget reduction handed us. During this period, a university-wide task force has carefully examined how we can create a more diverse workforce and, through improved search processes, secure a workforce of the highest quality as we move forward. Envision and begin to implement strategies for a more financially sustainable future. Envision and begin to implement strategies for a more financially sustainable future. There is little certainty about the future financial stability of the state. Add to this the rising cost of college, and we must find ways to slow down the inexorable increase in the cost of higher education, lest the financial burden become too great for our students. During this year, we plan important discussions on the visioning for renovations to the Rankin Center, resulting in a plan for a new university center. It is my hope this building can be transformed into a center for student engagement outside of class, much as the Flight Library has become an academic center for our university. Building on the closing words in our mission to serve the rapidly changing global society, the general education program will be reviewed and revised. I am very proud of the challenges we have overcome working together as a university community. We have shown over and over that embedded with today's challenges are opportunities for success and continued greatness. We will continue to work together, anticipating what is ahead and seeking to take best advantage of the changing environment in which we live. At the beginning of my remarks, I talked a little about how Woodbridge Ferris started a College of Pharmacy, inspired by his experience of helping a student study for the State Pharmacy Board example. One of our recent pharmacy graduates helped to really bring that story full circle. Sunal Slayton, who graduated in 2010, was still a pharmacy student when she provided the impetus for the College of Pharmacy to collaborate with Cherry Street Clinics in Grand Rapids on a project to help patients with multiple conditions such as diabetes and high blood pressure to reduce the number of prescriptions they take and establish a drug regimen they can stick to. She said, "In my 4-year rotation, I realized there's a lot of work pharmacists can do to bridge the gap with physicians and advocate for patients. I wanted to create an avenue for pharmacy students to be involved in that kind of care." Even though the effort has only been fully operational since December, the Health Resources and Services Administration was impressed enough by the Cherry Street Ferris State team to ask Dr. Fred Schmidt from the clinic and Mike Bouthalier, Ferris Assistant Pharmacy Dean, to take part in a national webcast to share with other health professionals about the success of this integrated approach. What this means is the initiative of a Ferris State student is not only helping people get well, it is helping to reduce healthcare costs, since just 5% of all patients account for up to 50% of all healthcare spending in this country. It is those high-risk patients the collaborative Cherry Street, Ferris State program is helping. I think that is an extraordinary example of the university preparing a student for a successful career and responsible leadership and partnering to serve our society. Woodbridge Ferris called himself a Muellerist, someone who believes that humans help the world to progress through their actions. The action he took to help a single student pass an exam has rippled across all these decades and is making a profound difference yet today. On this Founders Day 2011, I am pleased to stand with you and to see a bright and promising future for our university, one that will require our best efforts, but that can truly change lives through the extraordinary education we provide. On behalf of all of our students across all of our campuses, I thank you for the wonderful work you do to provide them an education of highest quality, relevant to the world in which we live. Thank you so very much.